Week one of the season has came and week one has gone. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I am your host, Devin, joined by my co-host, Jaden. And this first week of football did not disappoint at all. Ton of great games to get into, and I am stoked. But you all know the drill. Before every single episode, we got to get into pregame talk. Go ahead, Jaden. What do you got for us today?
All right, let's do this. Today's pregame talk is going to be, do you think Derrick Henry is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I think without a doubt. And I think I'd even go a step further than that. I think Derrick Henry is approaching some top 5 running back conversations. I mean, we haven't seen a running back age like this in a long time. Obviously, we recently had Adrian Peterson, who was doing it for quite a while. But what Derrick Henry is doing at his age, and to a level that's not like he's still a Pro Bowler or he's still, doing pretty good. I mean, this is an offensive player of the year type of player at 31. He just rushed for 1,900 yards last season and was overshadowed because Saquon went for 2,000, obviously. But he rushed for nearly 2,000 yards as a 30-year-old. That would have been his second time doing it in the league. I think without a doubt, in my opinion, when it's all said and done, Derrick Henry is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And it's probably going to be more than that. As I mentioned, I mean, we're looking at top 5 running back conversations ever. Now, obviously, we're going to get into the games. But the fact that how he ended that last game is not how you want it to be. But, I mean, what did he have? Like 3 rushes of 40 yards or something crazy like that? Multiple 40-plus yard touchdown runs at 31 years old? I mean, we've never seen... I can't say never, but we haven't seen something like this in a long time. And for him to be doing it at that level with all of the carries that he's totaled throughout his career, even dating back to high school, and the fact that he's still doing it is crazy. And I think the fact that he's even at this level and we're having these type of conversations, and then you look back at the first, I think it was 3 years of his career, maybe it was 2.5 or so, but I think it was 3 full years in Tennessee where they just were not giving him the rock. I mean, you drafted him in the second round. That's a pretty high pick on a running back. Now, you drafted him, I believe it was the year that they signed DeMarco Murray when he was coming off his big year in Philadelphia. So obviously he was going to be the featured back. But when you saw the touches and what he could do when Derrick Henry got the ball, I never understood how they didn't just fully switch their focus to him. I mean, they even went out there and gave like Dion Lewis like a massive contract in Derrick Henry's like second or third year and gave him like 150 carries. And it's like it took them literally 3 or 4 full years before they were like, hey, this Derrick Henry guy, the guy that was dominant in college, dominant in high school, is also, pretty damn good in the NFL. So I think it's crazy that he can have that start to his career and still, in my opinion, be a first ballot Hall of Famer when it's all said and done and approaching top 5 running back of all time conversations.
So before we move on with that question, like, do you think he's already solidified himself as a first ballot Hall of Famer? Or do you think... Like, are you projecting the rest of his career, like what he's going to accomplish, like possibly a Super Bowl, or do you think he already is what I'm saying?
So,
or that's one part of the question.
If he were to retire today,
it was kind of both. It was kind of both. That's why I said, is he or is he going to be? It's kind of I think both questions, because you want me? I could name you. So in the last 40 years, I could name you all of the first ballot running back Hall of Famers.
Okay.
So yeah, to know the conversation he's going to have to be in. So, I mean, Adrian Peterson, he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, but would we say it's safe to say once he becomes eligible that he's going to be?
Yeah.
A first
100%.
ballot? I
I
think.
mean, an MVP as a running back, you just simply don't see that. Um, I mean, I'm not sure where he's at as far as rushing yards all time, but I think he's like just short of 1,500 or 1,500, 15,000, which is probably, what I think. I can't remember who has the record off the top of my mind. But I mean, yeah, Adrian Peterson, I mean, an MVP, a 2,000 yard season. I mean, multiple seasons of above 1,400 yards. And then even like looking at this, right? Because I got Adrian Peterson's numbers pulled up. And when you look at their primes compared to each other, like like I don't think it's that crazy to say that if Derrick Henry now I guess
I think Derrick
if
Henry. That's the thing. Derrick Henry has the numbers, but he just
mhm,
doesn't. In my opinion, like, and he's a great. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, like talent for sure. But he just
mhm,
doesn't have the accolade. He doesn't have the MVP. He doesn't
yeah,
have the all these All Pros. He has what, 2 All Pro selections, only 1 first team.
yeah.
It's like he just doesn't have the accumulative. Or he has no 3 All Pros, 1 first team. I mean, that's pretty good, but like he doesn't have the MVPs that these. So let me list off the rest. So we got LaDainian Tomlinson. We got
Mhm,
um, we got Marshall Falk.
mhm,
We have Barry Sanders, Marcus Allen,
mhm.
Eric Dickerson, Tony Dorsett, Walter Payton, and Earl Campbell. Those are all of the first ballot Hall of Famers in the last 40 years. I mean,
And
a
I, and
lot
I,
of those
and
guys. That's what I'm
I
saying.
I think I think he is
I
he's
think
in
he
that
is
he's
better
in those
than some of them.
conversations.
I just
Yeah.
don't know if he has the accomplishments like the
Because
to
I
stack up
think
with that. Like a lot of those guys have like MVPs and like
right.
multiple first, team All Pros. Like I
Mhm.
just don't know at this point, like if he were to, he's not gonna retire now. Obviously, that's taken
Yeah.
away from part of his call to be in first ballot is his longevity. But like
Right.
I think he's got to go for like another All Pro this season, maybe another one next season to like, in my
Because if
opinion, to
you were to say,
solidify it, to guarantee it.
yeah, I think I think after this season, I think it will be solidified because if you think about it, he's led the league. I mean, obviously you can't really project that. There's a ton of great running backs in the league now, but there's a very high chance that he leads the league in rushing this year. I mean, he just had 169 yards on 18 carries in the first game of the season. He would be a 3-time rushing champ. Depending on what he does with touchdowns this year, he could potentially be a 4-time rushing touchdown leader. He'd be almost over 85 yards a game rushing for his career. He would have 5 seasons of over 100 rushing yards a game. He would have, if he were to end up being the best running back in the league, another All Pro, potentially an Offensive Player of the Year. I think, sure, he wouldn't have the MVP, but that would be 7 seasons consecutively of over double digit touchdowns. And these are not like just a little bit over. I mean, 16, 17, 10, 13, 12, 16, and then whatever he does this year. It would be his, fifth year in his career going over 1,500 yards rushing, which I'm just going to probably assume is the record. I don't think any running back has went for five seasons of over 1,500, maybe, but that seems like a lot. And I mean, who knows? Maybe he goes for another 1,800 yards, and then it's like again, he would be like the first running back ever to have 3 1,800 yard rushing seasons. Which I'm just talking right now. I don't know for sure, but these feel like things that would be correct.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
also
he
I also
wouldn't have
didn't
the MVPs, but
I didn't realize how far up on the total rushing touchdowns he is. Like, no, I knew he was
yeah,
high on. No, I knew he was high on the list, but I didn't know how close the gap is between him and number 3. He's 6 right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
The gap between
right.
him and Marcus Allen is 14
It's
or
like,
15
yeah,
rushing touchdowns.
yeah, right.
I
I
think
saw
he's
that the other
probably gonna
day
get to that at
on
the end of his career. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Because
It's
I
gonna be
actually
hard.
missed I actually missed a year. This would not be 7 years consecutively of double digit. This would be his 8th year consecutively of double digit rushing touchdowns. I get it. He wouldn't
There is
have.
and there is players who've made it in, I feel like, with less
Yeah.
like accomplishments as like, the MVPs, the offensive, the all pros.
Right.
But I just know like that first ballot is so hard to do. Like it's
And I
so
think
few
as
players
well.
that have made it in the first ballot. But I think like with his counting stats, it's going to be so hard to not put him in as a first ballot.
Yeah. 100%. Because I think he would be a fool to not finish his career out in Baltimore, especially when you talk about Lamar Jackson being his backfield mate. He just makes his job so much easier. I mean, I'm not sure if Derrick Henry is a player that wants to play until he's like 35 plus. But I mean, let's say Derrick Henry calls it at 34. He gets this year plus 3 more. I mean, it's hard to say that when you give him all that time with this Baltimore team and the destruction that he's been able to do in just 18 games, I don't see a world where he's not. I mean, like I mentioned, I think this dude is rapidly approaching top 5 running back conversations ever, and it could be even higher. So, in my opinion, I do believe he will be a first ballot. But that's a good pregame talk because that can segue us right into the first game that I want to talk about from this week 1 slate. And that's the game of the week. It's the game of the year. It's the game of the century. I mean, one of the greatest regular season games we have ever seen. The Bills and the Ravens, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen put on an absolute masterclass. I mean, from start to finish, this game was cinema. The Bills start out, coming out the gate early, their first drive. They look good, go straight down and get a touchdown. The Bills answer, or the Ravens answer back with, I think, just 3. And then the Bills get the ball back. And then that's when the Ravens started to go on their run. They were able to stop the Bills a couple of times. And I think the Ravens went up 17-7. They scored 17 unanswered before the Bills started to get something going. And then after that, it was pretty much all Ravens. Derrick Henry started to get going. Lamar Jackson was turning into video game mode. I mean, that play where he was like 40 yards behind the line of scrimmage, that is genuinely one of the greatest plays I have ever seen by a quarterback in my life. That was crazy to watch live. I could not believe what I was watching. But obviously, the big thing about this game is the comeback. The unreal play from Josh Allen and that Bills offense to field this game back. They were down 25-40 with like 4 minutes left, and they end up pulling this game out, scoring 16 unanswered. So let's start out this first from the Bills side, and then we'll get into the Ravens. First from the Bills, Josh Allen in the fourth quarter alone was 16 for 21, 269 total yards, and 3 touchdowns. In the fourth quarter alone, he was arguably the best quarterback of anybody this week. Just in the fourth quarter. You take his 1 quarter, compare that to every single quarterback that played this week. He was probably the best one. I mean, it is unreal the talent that we're watching at quarterback right now. And I'm going to keep touching on that after I get on both of these teams because I have a big thing I want to talk about with that. He's the first player this century to throw for 250 plus yards in the fourth quarter of a win. I mean, truly Superman, unreal stuff from Josh Allen. I would absolutely hate to be a defender and have to go up against the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jacksons of the world. It's crazy. So the Bills make their magical comeback, as they seem to always do. And from the Ravens side, they blow their lead, as they seem to always do. And from the Bills side, or from the Ravens side, I mean, it's such a crazy thing to talk about, right? When you talk about leads getting blown, a lot of people like to point at the defense. Well, they gave up 41 points. I mean, the offense put up 40 points. What more can you ask from them? And I am almost the complete opposite. I fully believe that leads are blown completely on the offense. Completely on the offense. I don't look at the defense when a lead gets blown. Obviously, they're letting the offense score. That's obviously not ideal. But when you have these players like Josh Allen, who is without a doubt a top 10, probably top 5 quarterback talent that we've ever seen play. I mean, he's that good. When you have a talent that good at quarterback, when you're able to hold him to 20 or so points through 3 quarters, through 3.5 quarters, through 3 quarters and 10 minutes, when you're able to hold them to that, you've done your job as a defense. What the offense has to do is close out the game. And that is what the Ravens, time in and time out, cannot do. They simply cannot do it. And it falls on John Harbaugh. It does. The Ravens' final 3 drives, a 3-and-out for 6 yards, 2 plays and a fumble, and a 3-and-out for 7 yards. Those were their final 3 drives after gaining 410 yards during this game and scoring 40 points on their first 8 drives. That is on the offense. When you have, in my opinion, the best football player in the world in Lamar Jackson, and on your final drive, when the Bills stack in the box with, I think it was like 9 players. I mean, they were starting to creep up to the line right as the ball is getting snapped. You're under center. They know what you want to do. You run the ball to Derrick Henry, you don't get any yards. You come out in shotgun. You run a jet sweep to Zay Flowers, and I think they lost a yard on that play. Now you're looking at 3rd and long. And now the Bills know what you want to do. They know you have to get a first down. They know what yardage you have to be stopped at. And it's just like, I don't get how you don't put the ball in your best player's hands and tell us to go win it. And on the 4th and 3, I get it. You're at your own like 38-yard line or something. If you don't get that, the game's automatically over. You know what else has happened? Your defense has just allowed 3 consecutive scores.
Actually, I want to butt in and interrupt you. I want to give my take on this real quick, like with the whole 4th and 3 and going for it, and like, and you said the game's automatically over. They don't get it. They had 3 timeouts. They could have played defense and forced a field goal. And I just think at that point, like going for it, it's just like you have to control your own destiny. Like you can't just punt the ball and let Josh Allen, come down, even if he has no timeouts. Like there was like how much time was left? Like 1:20.
Yeah, it was way
like
too
these
much.
Quarterbacks, like these like elite of the elite quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. We seen the Bills on the other side of this in the playoffs against Mahomes with 13 seconds. And that was too much time. No, and one timeout. It's like they just like you just can't. You have to control your own fate, and you have to go for it there. Like you have to just win the game right there. And it's like, and it's not completely over if they don't get it. They have 3 timeouts. Like and like I said, it's just with these quarterbacks, like those elite quarterbacks, you just have to change. Like with other quarterbacks, like a punt there is probably the best choice to make. But when you're playing against like a Josh Allen or a Lamar or a Mahomes, or I mean, there's some other quarterbacks you throw in there, maybe like a Burrow, Jaden Daniels at this point, maybe even a Michael Penix Jr. No, I'm joking. But
Here he goes.
You just can't, you can't give them the ball. You have to win the game. It's too much of a risk, especially with the momentum they had.
I saw a great point online, and it sums it up perfectly. John Harbaugh had a decision on 4th and 3 to put the ball in one quarterback's hands and say, go win the game. It was either my guy, Lamar Jackson, or their guy, Josh Allen. And he decided, I want to give the ball to them. I I will never get it. I will never get that. You have 3 yards to get and the best player in football on your team. Go get 3 yards. Your offense just put up 410 yards and 40 points this game. Lamar Jackson had an average EPA of .77. That is one of the highest that we've seen in recent memory. That was .3 higher than any quarterback in week 1. He was the best player on the field. And you consistently gave Josh Allen the ball back and said, go beat us. I don't get it. I will never agree with blown leads or on the defense. We saw that in the Bears game tonight. We're recording this on Monday night right after that Bears game got over. The Bears lost that game not on their defense. Not at all. Their defense did their job. Their defense scored points. They scored 6 points. They got a pick 6. The offense is the reason they lost that game. They couldn't put up any more points. They were up 17-3. They allowed 20 or 17-6. They allowed 21 unanswered. And the offense was 3 and outs, 4 plays and a punt. You lose the game. I watched it too many times as a Raider fan happen. Blown leads are not on the defense. I don't understand how people can believe that. And as far as the Ravens side, it scares me. You know, it's only week 1, and you don't want to overreact too much. But going into the season, I truly believe that this could have been the Ravens' year. And I'm saying could have been like they just lost a playoff game. But I believe that this was the Ravens' year that they could win it all. And I still do. But when you have John Harbaugh and his conservative play calling, when you're up 10, keep your foot on the pedal, man. Like, go get first downs. You play yourself into the defense. Oh my goodness, dude. I'm a Raider fan, and I'm getting this pissed that the Ravens lost the game. And I'm almost not giving the Bills enough credit because obviously they played a hell of a game. This is a hell of a team. Josh Allen is a hell of a quarterback, and it's crazy. And I think even with that blown lead, even with all the mistakes that the Ravens made, and I still, Derrick Henry fumbled. We talked about that a little bit in the pregame talk. Derrick Henry's fumble, I think obviously puts the Bills in a position where they're able to come out. They were able to get 6. They don't get the 2-point conversion. But I still don't believe that play lost them the game. I think the play that lost them the game was the 4th and 3. But even with that, the Ravens did all of this on offense, and it's like the Bills still like bailed them out so many times. Like when they went for 2 and did a fade route to Keon Coleman and didn't get it. And it's like you give the Ravens the ball back and all they need to do is get a first down, and they still couldn't do that. I don't know, man. The Ravens scare me when it comes playoff time, when you have a head coach who makes the decisions that he does, and we see time in and time out. I want to say this is his 17th double-digit blown lead. It's not good times. John Harbaugh is obviously a Hall of Fame coach, one of the best to ever do it. But you just have such head scratchers at the end of games when you have a lead and you just can't close it out when you have the talent that you have. Put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands. If Lamar Jackson throws an interception, fumbles, does this or that, we live with it. You live with it. But when you don't give him a chance to do that, I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it at all, man. I just simply don't. Shout out to the Bills on one of the greatest comebacks we've ever seen. Shout out to Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld. Josh Allen is potentially going to win another MVP. And Ravens fans, I'm sorry. That's the first game we're getting to, and it's that hectic. The second game that I want to talk about is the Packers. The Packers had their debut with Micah Parsons on the defensive side of the ball. And let's just say it was a really, really good one. They went against the Detroit Lions, the former NFC champions, former NFC 1 seed. I can say NFC championship
Yeah, NFC champions.
but
It's crazy.
the former number 1 seed in the NFC last year, and they come out and they make a statement. They beat the Lions 27-13, and it was a garbage time touchdown from the Lions. So in reality, the Packers absolutely dominated the Lions from start to finish. And on the defensive side of the ball, we talk about the Micah Parsons debut, and it was about as good as it gets. He was on a snap count, a limited snap count, obviously, and the stats that he was able to put up in those limited snaps was unreal. Micah Parsons only played 29 snaps this past Sunday. On those 29 snaps, the Packers sacked Jared Goff 3 times and permitted 2.4 yards per play. The longest Lions gain was 16 yards. Jared Goff's time to throw when Micah Parsons was on the field was 2.8 seconds. When he was off the field, it was 3.3 seconds. In those 29 snaps that Micah Parsons played, he totaled 3 pressures, a sack, and a forced interception, and had a 21 win percent rate versus Penei Sewell, one of the best tackles in the league. It was about as good as a debut as you can get. If he wasn't on a snap count, my goodness, this game probably looks even worse. Micah Parsons is without a doubt one of the best players in football, and I still can't believe that the Cowboys traded him away. But this game from the Packers, it's a heavy, heavy statement to the NFC because this team is here. This team is here. They still have some question marks that I'm not, I don't really like. I'm not really a fan of their DBs or their corners, I should say. And the run game was not able to be super effective today. But obviously, we're not looking at negatives because the Packers just beat one of the best teams in the league, and not only beat them, but they dominated them from start to finish. And they looked like a team that can go all the way. Just to be honest, they looked like one of the best teams in the league this past Sunday. And I cannot wait to see what this team can look like once Parsons is fully healthy and is able to, play 80% of snaps, 90% of snaps, and see what this team looks like at full strength. The league is in trouble. I'll say that. The league is in trouble. So that's the second game that we want to talk about today. The third game that I want to get to is my Raiders, man. I'm so stoked on how we played this past Sunday. I was pretty nervous going into this game. The Raiders and Patriots are a very, very evenly matched team. When you look at the offensive and defensive side of the ball, especially with the Patriots missing Christian Gonzalez, which I do believe was a huge loss for them this game. I knew that it was going to be a good one, but I did not expect Geno Smith to look as good as he did in his debut, distributing the ball to all different receivers. Jack Bech got a catch, Dante Thornton, Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. I mean, he was throwing the ball to everybody. He was distributing it well. The offensive play calling I thought was pretty good for the most part. In the first half, I wasn't a huge fan of the lack of carries that Ashton Jeanty was getting, especially on that first drive. We were able to move the ball very effectively off of 2 Ashton Jeanty runs. I want to say he got like a 9-yard and a 6-yard rush or something like that, or 9 yards and 5 yards. So very effective on the ground that first drive. And we obviously go down and get a very quick touchdown. But I think something that impressed me the most is that this defense came to play. Now, obviously, the Patriots are not the most talented team offensively, but the Raiders are one of the worst defenses in the league to counteract that. So I thought for the Raiders to look as solid as they did defensively, that defensive line was looking pretty good. Max Crosby and Malcolm Koonce both with a sack. I even thought the interior defensive line played really well, getting pressure on Drake May, making them feel uncomfortable in that second half. But just all around great win for the Raiders. I thought Drake May, he had his times where he looked really good. I was hoping for a year two. Obviously, it's one game. He can come out for the next 16 games and look amazing. But when you go against a team like the Raiders who don't have a great defense, I was hoping to see a lot more. Early on in that game, he wasn't able to get it going. They started out with a 3 and out, and they were kind of struggling to catch a rhythm, but he did get going there for sure in that second quarter. He was on fire. And in that second half as well, towards the end of the game, he kind of just didn't have it. I don't know if he was just uncomfortable. I don't know if he got hit a couple times and didn't like what he was seeing out there, but I wanted to see a lot more from Drake May. And obviously the conditions that they were playing in was also not ideal for a quarterback when it's raining that much. But yeah, man, my Raiders come out. They're 1-0 this week. That's what you want to do every single week. And I'm stoked. I'm so excited for this season to keep going forward. I'm not sitting here saying that the Raiders are going to do anything crazy, make a playoff push or whatever. All I want to see is some exciting football. I want our offense to look good, and I thought it looked good enough today. Or not today, but yesterday. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this team can do going forward. As long as we keep getting the ball to Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and hopefully Ashton Genty can get rolling here, I'm excited for this season. And the last game that we're going to touch on big time, I'm going to let Jaden take it away here. It's his Atlanta Falcons playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, you guys didn't get the win, but what are some things that you can say you liked and obviously didn't like from your guys' performance in the first game of the year?
First thing I want to get into is obviously the quarterback, Michael Penix. I mean, he is our franchise guy, bro. He is as good as he's been, advertised. He's really just he's so poised in the pocket under pressure. I mean, I'm pretty sure I sent the chart. I don't know if you have. I sent the chart. There was a chart on like quarterbacks and how they performed under pressure and like the expected EPA or whatever. He was at the top of that chart under pressure, this week. And he's athletic. When he is under pressure, he's looking to check it down. There was a lot of checkdowns to Bijan. I mean, as you can see, Bijan had 100 receiving yards. And he just throws with so much anticipation, and there's just so much steam on that football when he throws it. It scares me at times because when you throw the ball that hard and he doesn't have the greatest mechanics, like he uses a lot of upper body when he throws. Those balls can tend to sail on you sometimes, which they didn't this game, thankfully, and hopefully we don't get many of those this season. But he's also athletic. He can run, and we've seen that a couple times. He extended a drive on 4th down, diving for the first down in the red zone, also diving for a touchdown. And he looked really good, and I'm so happy to see that. On the other side, Bijan, he looked pretty good, especially in the receiving game. The rushing numbers aren't great between him and Algier. They kind of split carries, 12-10. And it's just the offensive line. I'm going to be honest. The offensive line, and I've always been saying this is, I mean, our offensive line. They like to talk so highly of us, and we are a pretty good offensive line, but I feel like we're a bit overrated at times. Mainly, it's for the opposite reasons, like in pass pro, where I feel like we're pretty like middle of the pack. But this game in pass pro, it was the opposite. Like, in the run game, like, we just got no push. We couldn't get to the second level. They were just, heavy boxes, and we were just running into it. And nobody could get to the second level. It was tough. Vita Vea was bullying Chris Lindstrom on a lot of plays this game. Obviously, we're missing our right tackle, Caleb McGarry. That's a big, loss to the run game. But we couldn't get nothing established on the ground. And I feel like that's what really, let this game get away from us at times because the defense played pretty well. I believe we were like one of 5 teams to have a 40% pressure rate on the offense's dropbacks. I believe there's some stat like that.
Yeah, I did see that stat. I can't remember the teams, but
yeah. So I mean, we were getting pressure, and we just couldn't we couldn't finish off that. You get pressure, and with these mobile quarterbacks, it's been like this for years with the Falcons. Like, we just cannot get home. And there's so many times where Baker was able to extend it on the ground with his feet and just, improvise, and we just couldn't get home. We finished the game with, 1 sack, and we pressured him 40% of the time on his dropbacks. Like, it was really tough. And, and then we get to, the missed field goal, and, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I think I saw a stat, Koo is 18 for 28. In his last 10 games on field goals. Like, it's just, and it's so crazy because he was at one point in an all-time level of accuracy. Like, he was right there with Justin Tucker, 1 and 2 for minimum 100 field goal attempts. He had an 89%, field goal percentage, and it's just like he has fallen off a cliff, man. And it's sad to see. And I know they've been talking. They're bringing in a lot of guys to try out for his job is seriously on the line right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone in the next couple of weeks. He has just been horrible.
Yeah, and it should be. I mean, at the end of the day, these kickers, they don't got a super long leash, and I don't think they should. If you're missing big time kicks that are losing games, and it's multiple times a year, I think that it's not easy, especially when you've made a name for yourself, but I think it should be done. Obviously the loss is not pretty, especially when it comes against a division rival. But do you still feel optimistic about this team as far as, potentially winning this division and, making the playoffs?
I would like to say I do. I think the play calling also has to get a lot better in situations. We had that in the red zone. We're on the 1 or 2 yard line, and we go under center and we run a stretch to Bijan, an outside zone, and it's such a weird formation because he's not even in the backfield. He's kind of where a fullback lines up, and we run a stretch to the left side, and it's just such a in these wide receiver screens on 3rd down. And I get it, we were missing, Drake London got hurt later in this game. We were also missing Mooney. Kyle Pitts, I also want to tell you, Kyle Pitts had a really good game. He looked good. Yeah. He was running routes, meaningful routes finally. He was getting some good yak. He looked great. Hopefully he can build on that. And, play calling offensively. I mean, we got away from the run. We didn't run all that much, but like I said, you could see why. I mean, we were just getting no push. We were getting bullied in the trenches. I can understand that, but even then, some of the play calling towards the end, in the red zone, our red zone offense looked atrocious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to say I'm still optimistic about this season. I mean, it's week 1. I don't want to get too, you know what I mean? But
that's what week 1 is for.
It's a tough loss. It's a game we shouldn't have lost, but
Yeah.
On the next week.
Yes, sir. There's a couple more teams that I want to get to before we get into our weekly Pickems. And these are some winners and losers from the week. I got 3 winners and 3 losers. We'll start out with the winners. First being the Packers. We talked about them at the beginning of this episode. So excited to see them going forward. I legitimately think this is one of the best teams in the NFC. You could argue number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever it may be, but I think they're up there. I think they are a legit threat to win it all, to come out of the NFC, and I'm so stoked to see what this team does going forward. Not only this year, but even next year's. The next team that I have as a winner here, and a team that I did not expect at all to have on a list like this, the Indianapolis Colts. This was a team that I was selling stock in going into the season because the whole Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones saga was just a weird one. I didn't know what to expect from it. And then they named Daniel Jones the starter. And obviously we know Daniel Jones to be a pretty damn, I'm just going to say, bad quarterback. And he was the complete opposite. I mean, this dude looked like an MVP candidate. I mean, if it wasn't for the performances that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson put up, he had a top 2, top 3 quarterback game from this Sunday. 22 for 29, 272 passing yards, a passing touchdown, and you tag along 26 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, and you beat the Dolphins 33-8. I mean, these guys should feel great. I mean, I picked the Colts under, I want to say, going into this season because I just was not optimistic about that quarterback play. But if Daniel Jones is going to play like this should for sure be the best team in this division. I mean, you look at the Jaguars who beat the Panthers, but the Jaguars, I want to say, for how bad the Panthers looked, I thought the Jaguars could have looked better. So I would have the Colts over them. The Texans' offensive line is one of the worst in football, even though their defense is stellar and one of the best in football. I may have the Colts over them for that sole reason. And then also the Titans are a mess. I mean, Bryce Callahan is zero chance he should still be an NFL head coach midway through this season. I mean, the guy didn't know that an elbow counts as 2 feet. What are we doing, man? And also Cam Ward looked amazing. My goodness, what a debut from him. Even though the stats won't show it, he's going to be a star. Just Titans, please, 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 please get some talent around him. But anyway, back to the Colts. I like them as potentially the best team in this division. And if you're able to do that, you got a free shot to the playoffs. And if Daniel Jones is going to be playing at Pro Bowl level, Pro Bowl caliber play, then this team can be really good. Michael Pittman, 6 for 80. Tyler Warren, 7 for 76. I mean, it was a really electric game for the Indianapolis Colts. Over 400 yards of offense. Their defense looked stellar. Tua had 2 interceptions and a fumble loss. And trust me, we're going to talk about the Dolphins in a second. But the Colts is my second winner. And my third and final winner of this week that I want to talk about is the New York Jets. Despite a loss on the record, I thought the Jets played really, really well, and specifically offensively. This was a team that I was curious coming into the year about. I did not know how this offense was going to look. I thought for sure they could run the ball effectively because I did think that they had a really good offensive line. You have a running back duo of Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, and a quarterback of Justin Fields, who is one of the best rushing quarterbacks ever. To be honest with you, and they looked great on both ends as far as running and passing the ball. Justin Fields, 16 for 22, 218 yards, and a passing touchdown. On the ground, 12 carries for 48 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. You tag that along with Breece Hall, who had 145 total yards. Garrett Wilson, 7 for 95 and a touchdown. This offense looked really good. They put up 32 points. Unfortunately, the Steelers just managed to have one of their best offensive games in recent memory. Aaron Rodgers throwing for 4 touchdowns, looking like his vintage self. But the Jets, in a year where I thought was going to be a pretty full rebuild, and I didn't really know what the ceiling could be on this team, I think this team is going to be a lot better than people think. Their offensive line is potentially top 5 in football. That offensive line is really damn good. And I am excited to see what this team does going forward. I mean, this could be an 8 to 9 win team in a rebuild year. So, Jets fans, you should be excited going forward because that team looked really good. So, the Jets are my third and final winner of this week. And my first loser was a team I obviously talked about a little bit not too long ago, and that's the Miami Dolphins. I would not be surprised if this team is blown up a lot by the deadline. I think there's a chance I think there's a chance Tyreek is gone. I think there's a chance Waddle's gone. And I think potentially in the offseason, they might try to find a way to move off of Tua, even though they sign him to that massive contract. Teams can make it work. And I think the Dolphins are probably going to have to do that. Mike McDaniel is most likely in his final year as a Dolphins head coach. And this team is just in a rough spot. They got a lot of money invested into a lot of players, and they're getting blown out by the Colts with Daniel Jones at quarterback. This was a team that a lot of people thought could have did a lot of good things when you have a receiving core and an offense this talented. But this team is really, really bad, man. Their offense is bad. Their defense is not good either. I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess over there in Miami. I don't really know where they go from here. I truly do think they just have to blow it up and go into a full rebuild and just reset this whole thing. You made mistakes. Let's get them out early, and let's not keep this thing going any longer than it needs to be. You know, a lot of people believed that Tua was just not that guy, and it's starting to look like they were right, myself included. I didn't want to say it, but I will anyway. So the Dolphins are my first loser of week 1. My second loser, and it's going to be, I don't want to say a little bit different, but it's going to be the Seattle Seahawks. And the reason that I say the Seattle Seahawks is this. The Seahawks, along with the Texans, I think have an amazing, underrated defense. One of the best in the NFL. But that offense looked like one of the worst in the NFL. And I think there's a chance that the Seahawks can enter that territory that the Jets were in not too long ago, where you have one of the best defenses in the league and one of the worst offenses. And it's kind of like, oh, can we find that guy at quarterback? Can we draft the offensive lineman? Can we find our star receiver? Can we do this? Can we do that? And it feels like potentially they could be going down that road. Now, obviously, it's week 1. We're overreacting, ladies and gentlemen. But it scares me. It scares me, Sam Darnold away from Kevin O'Connell, because he did not look good. He had 150 passing yards, and 124 of them went to JSN. That's not a recipe for success in the league. Just simply isn't. He only completed 16 passes for 150 yards. That's not going to shake it. And for an offense that, I can't say came into the year expecting top 5-ish or anything like that, but you at least, want to be middle of the pack, You got Sam Darnold coming off a career year. You got JSN, who's one of the best young receivers in the league. You got a running back duo that's, again, one of the best in the league. Cooper Kupp as a receiver too, who obviously isn't in his prime, but you still think is a quality receiver in the league. And for this to be their first performance of the year, I don't know how much I like that. And it scares me a lot, because when you have a defense as talented as that is, as they have, it scares me, because I think this team could do a lot of great things if their offense could figure it out. So that's my second loser of the week. And my third loser, like I had with the Jets as a winner despite the loss, I have a team that won, but I'm having them as a loser here, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. For the Bengals to come out week 1 and look how they did against the Cleveland Browns, it scares me, man. It scares me a lot. I think this is a team that once again can potentially miss the playoffs. The Bengals are infamous to starting slow. Now, the positive thing, despite me having them here as a loser, is these are the games that they do lose. Last week when we talked about Pickems and Jaden was like, oh, you don't feel, confident that the Bengals can beat the Browns? I'm like, yeah, but also this is what they do. They come out the gate and just look terrible. And that's what they did. Their defense looked bad. Their offensive line looked bad. Their offense as a whole looked bad. I mean, Joe Burrow threw for 113 yards. 113. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins had a combined 5 receptions for what is that, 59 yards? That's not a pretty showcase for your first game of the year. 141 total offensive yards, while you led up 327 to the Browns. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw a stat that the Bengals had like -7 net yards in the fourth quarter and somehow won. Like, this is a game that they were supposed to lose. Now, it's great that they squeezed it out because, as I mentioned, these are the games that they've been losing in past years. But when you have a team that is that talented and that invested in that offense, with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow making the money that they do, and you come out and have that showcase against maybe the worst team in the league, it scares me, man. It scares me. I think it's very likely that the Cincinnati Bengals can miss the playoffs once again in a prime year of Jamar Chase, in a prime year of Joe Burrow, and in a prime year of T. Higgins. And hell, even in a prime year of Chase Brown. It scares me. So the Bengals, unfortunately, are going to be my final loser of this week. 3 winners being the Packers, Colts, and Jets, and my 3 losers being the Dolphins, Seahawks, and Bengals. So those are all the games and all the teams that I wanted to talk about in today's show. Now on to our Pickems. Last week, me and Jaden both went a combined 11-5. Or we both went 11-5, I should say combined. But we both went 11-5, 11 correct picks, 5 wrong ones. And this week we're hoping to get more. We're hoping to not be on the same page throughout this year. Obviously, we're going to keep track of that. I'm going to have both records up on the screen. And I'm going to even put both Pickems up on the screen. I'll title it, put mine over here, Jaden's over here. And what are some games from this week? Because out the gate, there's some that are so shaky for me. But what are some games that you're liking as you can say a lock, but just more so some games that you see where you're circling like, yeah, I think they for sure got that.
I think 100%. You gotta go Baltimore over Cleveland.
Yeah,
that's an easy one.
That was the same thing for me.
It's tough to really give like another lock of this.
Do you have, matter of fact, instead of locks out the gate, do you have any big upsets? Because I think I have one pretty big upset on here that I don't think we agree, or don't think that you also have, but I kind of like as my weekly upset. I'm going to obviously be doing that every week. I'm going to try to find an upset that I like. Last week I went with the Chargers that paid off. And this week, I'm going with the Jets. I'm going with the Jets over the Bills.
Crazy.
It's a divisional matchup. The Jets looked really good week 1. Obviously, the Buffalo had a historic fourth quarter. But I'm just looking at the upsets, and I'm like, hey, if the Jets pull it out against the Bills, I wouldn't be like flabbergasted. I wouldn't be like, oh, no way. I think there's a world. I think there's a world where the Jets can get it going on the ground and control this game. I think it's a world. We just saw the Bills give up 200 and something yards to the Ravens. I think the Jets are on a similar. They obviously don't have the same talent, but they have a rushing quarterback and they have a dynamic running back duo that I think they can take over this game on the ground. Now that's obviously a big upset. I'm not saying for sure that's going to happen, but I am picking that because I want to go with a couple upsets for the week. But I think that's my only big one. I think even looking at your side, I think I would say your probably biggest one is the Saints.
And I'm also only playing into that because Brock Purdy might not play, along with Kittle for sure not playing.
Along with Kittle, yeah.
I think the Saints, they have a chance at pulling that out at home.
I can see that.
But other than that, I don't really have any big upsets.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I'm trying to look. I'd say another lock. I think I'm gonna go Rams over Tennessee. I think I'm pretty comfortable on that lock.
And this is something that we can even incorporate. What's your early game of the week pick? Obviously, last week was the Ravens and Bills. We didn't do that. But what would you bet your money on being the best game of the week? Even if it's, not like the biggest. Like, obviously, Ravens, Bills, I think everybody would have picked that. But, like, what do you think could be the game of the week?
It's an interesting question.
Because I think, honestly, looking at this, it's tough, man. There's a lot of good games. But if I had to pick one, it might be that Thursday. It might be the first game of the week, the Thursday night game.
I really balling that.
I think that is going to be a really good game, and we're both going Packers on that. But I think that has a chance to be really, really good.
I feel like the games of the weeks are always just end up being the primetime games.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Are we really going to get a 10 a.m. game? I mean, we did, I guess, last week, sort of, with the Jets in Pittsburgh.
Right. But and I thought that was like a lock to be it, but then obviously the Bills and Ravens happened.
I don't know if I could pick it one of these 10 a.m. games.
Yeah. I think if I had to pick a non-primetime game, I think it's easy to say Philly, KC, but I'm gonna go Indianapolis, Denver. Maybe Denver bounces back offensively.
I just want to say, how is that not a primetime game?
What, Philly,
Super
KC?
Bowl rematch?
Yeah,
that is kind of weird.
They chose Tampa Bay, Houston, Chargers, Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, like
Atlanta, Minnesota.
It's a doubleheader Monday night. You couldn't just throw them in on.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
That is weird.
But yeah, we do have our first doubleheader primetime of the season with the Bucs and Texans, Chargers, Raiders. Obviously, I'm going with my Raiders.
Maybe Chargers Raiders could be
sneaky game
of the week with how much Geno throws and how much Herbert can throw. I mean, we saw them do that to the Kansas City Chiefs. That could be a sneaky game of the week.
I think it's going to be interesting because I think that Chargers defense obviously played a lot better than advertised. They lost a lot of pieces this past year, and it was looking like they could have a bit of a step back, but they did play really well against, Patrick Mahomes. And I think it's going to be interesting. I think that definitely could be a shootout. It could be a 28-31 type of game.
If only Travis Kelce didn't try to murder my 4th-round pick.
Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal. You know what we might as well do? I didn't even think about. So those are our Pickems. I got them on the screen. Obviously, as you guys can see, 11-5 last week. We'll see what we can do this week. But we might as well do a fantasy football recap. I didn't even think about that going into this episode, but 100% we can do that. So in our league that we have together, I did unfortunately lose my first game.
Nothing new.
And here he goes. I'm not too upset about it. I had a good week. I put up 112. I'm not too mad. I had, Puka Nacua, Emeka Egbuka, who went off. I talk so highly of Emeka going into this year, and I'm glad that it paid off in the first week, even though I didn't get the win. And I had some big busts. Marion Hampton with only 8 points. Even though I'm not too worried about that, I really like Marion going forward. I think especially after that first game, seeing how much he was featured in that offense, I think he's going to keep getting that going forward. But the biggest detrimental to me, I went into this week with a Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr. stack, and it didn't pay off. I mean, not even in the slightest. I mean, those guys are completely on opposite sides. I mean, they just could not get it going. I forgot the exact stat, but Brian Thomas Jr. had a crazy high percentage of uncatchable targets. They just could not get on the same page. And I don't really get it. Even Liam Cohen was going over it in his interview, his post-game interview, talking about, the opportunities that Brian Thomas Jr. had to get catches. There were two big routes. I think it was a corner and like a dig in breaking route that Brian Thomas got missed on. And it was, a combined, two catches for 30, 40 yards. So I'm hoping for that connection to get bigger or to grow more going into the season. But I don't think I'm going to keep rocking out with Trevor Lawrence. Even if I had like a perfect lineup, like Mark Andrews busted pretty heavily for me. Pause. But even if I like perfected my lineup, Kyle Pitts as a starter, Caleb Williams as a starter, I think I squeak it out. But again, I was never going to do that. I did have Caleb Williams as my starter. I liked him over because I have 3 quarterbacks on my roster right now. I have Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, and Trevor Lawrence. And originally going into this week, I did like Caleb as my starter. But then I saw Trevor in free agency, and I'm like, they're playing the Panthers. Like, he could go for 3 touchdowns, one of them to BTJ. I get the double points because it is a 6-point passing league. So in my mind, if Trevor Lawrence gets 1 touchdown to BTJ, that's 12 points. And then you factor in the reception, the yards, everything. I just looked at it as a complete dub. And it didn't go so good. Didn't go so good for me. BTJ still scored a rushing touchdown, but that wasn't too pretty. Chuba Hubbard had a great game for me. Like, I had so much great performances. Chuba with 18, Puka with 23, Emeka with 23. The Rams defense that I really liked this year had 12 for me. But I just had some really, really bad stinkers. But we're not going to overreact. I still like my team. I could see myself potentially trading for, I don't know, maybe a running back potentially. I was going to say quarterback, but I really think I can get by with a lot of different quarterbacks in this league, considering it's a 6-point passing. But yeah, I'm not overreacting too much to week 1. But I know, Jaden, you did have a pretty big scare week 1, but you were able to pull it out. And you put up.
Not everybody could do it like me.
Were you the highest scorer?
Highest scorer with the player who got me 0 points in my starting lineup.
Yeah.
Not everybody could do it like me. And it's all right.
You had a really good draft. I'll give it to you. You had a really good draft. But you did get a big scare. Jaden pulled it out 137 to 132. And Josh Allen put up 45 fucking points, bro. I said this, I think, in the party the other day. Is it crazy? Like, obviously, you can't project it every single year, but like, would you, like Josh Allen in fantasy? I mean, you have to start considering him as like the first pick of the second round type of thing. Like he is a bona fide like 40 plus points like 3 or 4 times a year, almost guaranteed. Like
that's in a 6-point passing league though. But I mean, yeah, he's still. But
even in a non-one, I think he put up 40 because even in my other league that I did win it. By the way, this roster is nuts. I haven't talked about this team on here. But in my other league, this is one that Jaden is not in, but just in a friends league, it's 150 entry. I have Jalen Hurts, Breece Hall, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Mark Andrews, Drake London, Rams defense, Chris Boswell. I was the highest scorer of week 1, and I dominated. Jalen Hurts 24, Breece Hall 16, CeeDee 18, Neighbors 12, Drake 13, and then my defense and kicker combined for 27. I did have some. Mark Andrews 1.5, Tony Pollard only 8 points. If I would have started Pitts at my tight end slot in both of my leagues, I would have had a lot more success, but still 1-0 in this league. But let me see. I wanted to check. Yeah, Josh Allen in this league, it's not 6 points, just standard. He did put up 38.7. So, I mean, like, still. And that guy won his matchup solely off of that. He won by 14. So yeah, I don't know. I just think, I mean, Josh Allen is unreal, especially when it comes. I mean, I'm not gonna tie all of it into fantasy, but he's a top 10 quarterback probably ever. And in fantasy, I don't think it's that crazy to start taking that dude high in the second round. I don't know about first round, but I would not be surprised if next year he's a 201 to 205 type of pick. I mean, he's that good. And even the opposite player, Lamar Jackson, puts up 33. He's another player that I think could comfortably be a second-round pick going forward. He's that good. But yeah, man, I mean, you had a good week, bro. 33 from Lamar, 18 from Saquon. Jaylen Warren got a touchdown. Garrett Wilson, who I was a little bit lower on this year, came out, had a great game for you out the gate. Brock Bowers, best tight end in the league.
Bro, he hit his projected to the point, to the decimal.
Who?
Brock Bowers.
Yeah, that is funny. 5 for 103. That's funny. But yeah, 0-1 for me this week in fantasy, 1-0 for Jaden. And like I mentioned, I'm not too worried. I'm ready for this next week. It's always the worst when you have a fantasy player going up against your favorite team, because like I think Omarion has a chance to cook, and it's like, dude, like as long as the Raiders win, like yeah, go for 2 or 3 touchdowns, but Raiders, please win. But please go off for my fantasy team also.
Isn't that a good situation? Because
what do you mean?
It's like a win-win. Actually, wait.
No, because I'm saying like if he puts up like 4 points and we shut him down, it's like obviously I'm happy as a Raiders fan, but also I'm in a money fantasy league. Like I want to win.
That's what I mean. So you get both sides. If he goes off, you can be somewhat happy because it helps your fantasy team. Then again, he could also not go off and you could still lose. So
yeah, so it's like it's ideal. He catches 4 or 5 passes, scores a touchdown, and the Raiders win. That's ideal. But yeah, that's week 1 of fantasy football. And that's pretty much all of the NFL talk that we got for this week 1 slate. We'll go ahead and get into a little bit of off the field. We got this weekend upcoming a massive boxing fight, huge fight in the community. Canelo versus Crawford. We're going to be doing a little get together with some family for this fight. It's a huge event. I'm stoked to watch it. And you were even texting about this earlier. What was the exact? I can't remember exactly what you
I was
had
just
said,
saying
but
how the more and more this fight gets closer, the more and more I see this as a 50-50 fight. And it's going to come, like, I feel like the majority that people are looking at it is like, because boxing is one of those sports where I feel like a lot of the people who watch it are more casual than like football, for example. And they see it as, a guy moving up 2 weight classes to fight another guy who's undisputed, an all-time great, and they're like, no way he has a chance. Like, you're crazy for picking that guy moving up. And it's like, it's more than that. Like, styles make fights. Canelo's a small super middleweight. Crawford's a big whatever division he was fighting in before he's at middleweight. He's probably like an average size middle, but he's bigger than Canelo. I don't think the size is going to play as much of a part as you would think for someone moving up 2 weight divisions to take this fight. And obviously only having 1 fight previously at the, 154. So kind of he's like moving up 3 weight divisions because he had a bad fight. He had a bad outing in that fight. But like I said, styles make fights. Madramov's, in my opinion, a tougher style for Crawford than Canelo is. And it's like, I'm a big Canelo fan. Canelo's one of my favorite boxers ever. Yeah. And it's tough to say, but like it just seems like Crawford just wants it more. And Canelo he's obviously at the tail end of his career. You look at the age and you say, oh, Crawford's older, but it's more than that. Canelo's fought way more times. He went pro at like the age of 16. He's just got way more wear and tear on his body than Crawford does. And it's just like, I don't think he's gonna get hurt. Like he definitely will not get stopped. I will put everything I own on that. I'm not worried for Canelo to get embarrassingly like knocked out or something.
Right.
But I am worried that he can get outboxed for 12 rounds. And we've seen it before. He's not some unbeatable fighter. I mean, he's a flat-footed Mexican, counterpuncher, amazing fighter. You know, sometimes has trouble cutting off the ring, as we saw in his last fight against, you know, good movers. And Crawford, he's just such a skilled, well-rounded fighter. He can play all of those different roles. He can be the counterpuncher. He could be the boxer mover. He can be the aggressive fighter. Like, he's that talented. And that's where I think he's more closer to his prime. I don't think I don't think Crawford's in his prime anymore. But I think he's closer to his prime than Canelo is to his, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not like all this I'm saying like is making it seem like, oh, Crawford's going to come in and just win for sure. I'm not saying. I think it's just closer to a 50-50 fight than people are making it out to seem. Yes.
So I want to ask you this, because obviously I consider myself very casual when it comes to boxing and UFC and fights and things like that. You know, I'm pretty in tune with the big fighters, but when it comes to all the details, I'm not really there. So I see a lot of people talking about the competition, right? And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of people say that Crawford hasn't fought a ton of high-level competition. Is that something that you agree with? And do you think that's something like that could be a factor in this fight?
Yeah, I think Crawford's resume is overrated and underrated at the same time. Like, he doesn't have the all-time great names on there like Canelo has. Like, granted, Canelo's lost some of those all-time great wins. Like, Canelo's got a Triple G on his resume. He's got a Floyd on his resume. He's got a Dimitri Bivol on his resume. You know, he's got great names. He's got a Cotto. I don't know if Spence, but then again, that Spence post car crash, you know, post injury. Like, I don't think that was Spence at his peak. Let alone, I mean, that was just an absolute dominant, you know, win.
Yeah.
You know, it's. You know, Jose Benavidez, like, he doesn't have the high end all-time great, you know, talent, but he's got a deep resume in terms of good, you know, championship level fighters. Like, obviously Canelo's the far more experienced, you know, he's got the better names. He's been in these fights before, but I don't like, I think Crawford, he's hungry. He wants it. Like, this name on Crawford's resume would certainly boost him into, you know, top 10 to 15 all-time conversations.
Right.
Like, this is a really, like, I don't think Crawford on Canelo's resume doesn't do anywhere near as much as Canelo on Crawford's resume would do, you know, for one another. Like, this is just such a career-defining moment for Crawford. And, you know, he's got his eyes on the prize, and I think he's ready for it. I think it's going to be a close fight. I don't think any of them are going to dominate the other. I don't know. I think Canelo has the better chance, obviously, of getting a stoppage if it were to come to that, which I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's probably going to go the distance. And, it's a lot closer than people make it out to seem. That's all I want to say. My official pick is...
That's what I was going to say, because as a casual, as I mentioned myself, I'm stoked to watch this fight. I really don't think I have a pick. I mean, I think if in my gut, I think I would go Canelo. But, you know, I haven't watched too many fights of them. I think I've watched one fight of Crawford, like live, and I've probably watched maybe 3 or so of Canelo live. So I think, me personally, I would lean Canelo. But that's obviously, you know, not knowing the ins and outs. But I did want to say, because the next time we do record, the fight will be over. We'll have our opinions and thoughts on it. But if you had to pick, who would you say would be your winner?
It's just so tough for me. Like, my heart's saying Canelo, my brain is saying Crawford. I think I'm going to lean Canelo. for like a 115, 113 decision. Like very close, like a like a 7-5 win, 7 rounds to 5.
What would you put the odds on like a knockout happening? Like, would you say that's like
For
those
who?
odds would be crazy? Like just a knockout period.
The fight's
like
finish in a stoppage.
Yeah.
What I would put the odds or what the odds are at?
Like, what would you personally
I think fair odds would probably be at like, I think a fair odds, in my opinion, this is going to be probably far off from Vegas odds. I'd put it at probably honestly like a minus 1,000. Like really? These two fighters, they have really good chin. Obviously, Canelo, an all-time great chin. Crawford, a really, really good chin. Both of them have only been hurt, 2 times in their career? Like Crawford was hurt, but like I said, and this was so long ago. I think Canelo was hurt 1 time in his career, like where he was actually stunned in Wildwood. I think he was like 19 years old,
right? Fighting,
I think it was Miguel Cotto's brother, and Crawford. Obviously, he got hurt pretty bad, worse than Canelo got hurt. Both of them never got dropped. We'll say that too, but Crawford, he got hurt against Gamboa, and that was a long time ago. That was over 10 years ago, I want to say.
Right.
So, both of these dudes have really good chins. I don't see.
By the way, you mean I was just letting you go, but you mean plus 1,000. Not mine, because minus 1,000 would be like 1, a crazy. Yeah. I'd be like plus crazy 1,000 odds. Yeah,
I'd say like plus 1,000 is fair. I don't know what Vegas would have it at. I'm assuming Vegas probably at like a plus 600 maybe. Like for obviously Canelo with the better odds. But I don't think a knockout or a stoppage. Maybe a knockdown. Possibly. Maybe Canelo can, maybe hurt Crawford to the body in the later rounds, but I don't know.
Do you know who is the favorite for this fight? I just pulled it up.
It's Canelo, right?
Yeah, Canelo minus 165
to 180. Yeah, it's very close odds.
And Crawford is plus 135 to plus
that's pretty much even, right? Like I think one more set lower it would be odds. even.
Yeah, you were pretty close. Canelo's odds to win by a KO is plus 380. That's
insane.
Yeah. Crawford is significantly higher, though, at plus 850.
That's also still
for
insane.
A pure knockout, it's plus 1,800.
But it's the first one was like KO, TKO, DQ. Yeah. Just a straight up, just somebody out cold.
I guess so.
Who was that? What is the odds for that?
A pure KO plus 1,800. TKO is 1,400. That's for Crawford. But the official for a KO, TKO, DQ,
I also want to say
Canelo is 380.
I also want to say another outcome I think could be very likely and would be pretty bad. I mean, not pretty bad because it means we'd probably get it again, but I think a draw is a likely outcome too, honestly.
Yeah.
Like with these super fights, like, and these two, like, different styles, like it could make the fight, kind of hard hard and different to judge for, these judges, wouldn't be too surprised. And I'm sure the odds for that are really good. A draw has always got really high odds, and it's really like underrated to happen. But I think it has a higher chance of happening than people make it out to seem.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm stoked, man. It's been a minute since I've seen, or since I guess there's been this hype around a boxing fight going into it.
It's probably the most hype for a boxing fight since like probably Mayweather McGregor.
Really?
And even then, that's not even like.
You think it's more than like a Tank and Garcia, like way more?
100%.
Yeah,
for sure.
I can see it. Because I think in that fight, I think a lot of people kind of figured that Tank would win, but this one is really.
It's literally the face of boxing. Crawford's not the face, but I mean he's a very popular boxer.
Yeah.
I don't think Tank or Ryan were at any of those levels. I mean, great young, fight, but but probably the most anticipated, not anticipated, but like hyped fight. since Mayweather McGregor, maybe even Mayweather Pacquiao. Honestly, it's gonna be a Mayweather fight. Obviously, I mean Mayweather, like the numbers he's sold on his pay-per-view is just unreal. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's it. I think we're gonna wrap up there. Got a little pregame boxing talk for you guys. Our Pickems, winners and losers. Went over some of the best games of the week. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to leave a subscribe. Make sure to rate us 5 stars. And yeah, that's gonna be it for us. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we're out. Peace.